Rusame reader, Song, and today I will be reading to you from Stars and Moonflowers in Our Garden by RainbowStar_772. That's me! Now, on to Chapter 20, Patience and Painkillers. America sighed to himself as he looked at the mixture he was making. He then remembered that he needed to get some medicine for a couple of people. The magic incident and all. He knew that the other healers kept up with them, but it wouldn't hurt if he did a check-in on them. Packing away a couple painkillers he'd made from the opium poppies, and a couple of pills he'd made to deal with headaches. He wrote a little note, sticking it to the door before walking off to deal with a few of the patients from the magical incident. Once he was done with his check-ins on them, he returned to his office and removed the note from his door. Luckily, they were okay, as well as any of the other people he found while checking on those in the infirmary. America wrote down the updates and what he'd done to aid in their continued recovery. He noted the progressions of their healing as well. After a while, he heard someone getting close to his office, so he looked up before they came in. Once the door was opened, he saw Italy standing there in the doorway to his office. He quickly invited the other in, almost certain he'd be treating something. He didn't know what it was yet, but was eager to get this over with. "I'm here for another follow-up. And I burnt my hand this morning," Italy said before America even asked. America nodded and grabbed what he thought he needed. A wound-soothing salve he'd formulated himself, a burn cream he'd picked up some time ago, and some bandages. He was feeling optimistic about Italy right now. He walked over and started to unwrap the bandages, and hummed happily when he found that nothing had gone wrong and that the healing was going smoothly. He applied some of the wound-soothing salve before reapplying the bandages. He heard someone else walk in as he was going over to treat the burn on Italy's hand. He looked over to see Prince Russia and smiled at him. He also did a nod to show that he knew the other was there and that he was welcome to stay. He noticed that Russia took a seat in the chair that was closest to him, but didn't pay any mind to that, going to treating the burn on Italy's hand. "Deus meus! What did you do, Italy?" he asked as he got a closer look at the burn. "I got too close to the stove while someone was cooking and got burned as a result," Italy said, sounding bashful. "Good, you know this is stupid and something not to do again," America mumbled as he continued applying the burn cream. The burn cream had a cooling agent in it. He figured it'd do what he needed it to. Once he was content with the application of the burn cream, he applied some clean bandages to Italy's hand. "Now, you stay here a while I get someone to babysit you," he mumbled, walking over to the window. He whistled for Samuel, calling the crow over. He considered a bit who he should ask to look over the dumbass for the day. By the time he'd decided this, the crow was already there and messing with Russia's hair. "Samuel, I need you to get Japan. Tell her she's on tally watch," he said, going over to get the crow to leave the prince alone. The crow did something akin to a pout. "Okay, Dad," the crow cawed, sounding grumpy. The crow then flew out of the window. America sighed a little and smiled anxiously at Russia. "Sorry about Samuel, and for taking so long to get him to quit. I needed to figure out who could keep an eye on Italy," America said as he went back to his desk. He then started to write down a few notes on the healing process of Italy's first injury, and what he'd done in accordance to that. He heard Russia hum and the footsteps coming closer to his desk. He assumed that was Russia coming over to sit in front of his desk. He smiled a little to himself and continued writing, now having moved to writing about Italy's burn. "I'm here to collect my dumbass of a brother." The very distinct voice of Japan chimed as she entered the room. He didn't look up to see what was happening, already knowing that she'd grabbed her twin and was dragging him out of the room. "The crow calls Prince Russia Papa!" He heard Italy yell as he was dragged out. He never was going to hear the end of that, and was not excited. He hadn't heard Samuel calling Russia Papa this time, but he believed it, especially since when the crow had relayed the message Russia had given him, the crow had called him Papa. "I'm sorry about that. I swear I'm trying to get Samuel to stop doing that," he said anxiously, rubbing the back of his neck. "Bah, it's fine. Don't worry about it," Russia said, smiling at him. America smiled a little and tried to relax himself. He picked up the quill and started to write again. He wanted to finish his reports, hoping that it'd give him some more time to talk with Russia. After a moment, he heard Russia move to get up, so he looked up. "I have to go to class. I'll see you later," Russia said, getting up from his spot across from America. He then waved before walking away. "See you later," America said softly, sighing as he looked down. He didn't have anything else that required his attention, but he'd have to stay in his office until his shift ended, which would be for a while. He decided that he may as well sketch something, so he grabbed a sheet of paper and a pencil. He started humming to himself a little, finding himself lost in thoughts as he sketched. When he looked to see what he ended up with, he flustered a little, finding that he'd ended up drawing Russia. Before anyone else could see the sketch, he quickly hid it away, putting the sketch in his bag. He'd decide what to do with it later. He didn't have it in him to do so now. And that's the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed. Anyway, I'd like to invite you to join the Discord, which is linked down in the description below. That being said, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, night, or whatever it is for you. Just enjoy your time, and I will see you tomorrow.